Little girls accidentally. Called a millionaire CEO when their mom lost consciousness, and he showed up. The phone rang at 2:47 a.m. in the penthouse office of Marcus Sterling, CEO of Sterling Industries, one of the largest tech companies in the country. He was still awake, reviewing quarterly reports under the harsh glow of his computer screen, when an unknown number flashed across his phone. In his world of billion-dollar deals and corporate boardrooms, late-night calls usually meant crisis management or overseas business. But when he answered, expecting to hear the voice of a frantic executive or board member, what he heard instead would change everything. "Hello, please help us. Mommy won't wake up." The voice was tiny, trembling, and belonged to what sounded like a very young child. Marcus's finger hovered over the end call button for a split second, assuming it was a prank or wrong number, but something in that little voice, the raw terror, the desperate hope, made him pause. "Sweetheart, who is this?" Marcus asked, his tone immediately softening despite his confusion. "I'm Emma, and this is my sister Lily. We're scared. Mommy fell down and she won't wake up, and we don't know what to do." Marcus felt his heart clench. He stood up from his leather chair, his mind racing. "Emma, how old are you and your sister?" "I'm 7 and Lily is 5. We tried shaking Mommy, but she won't open her eyes. There's blood on her head." The corporate world Marcus lived in suddenly felt a million miles away. Here were two little girls, alone and terrified, and somehow they had reached him. Instead of 911, he grabbed his jacket with one hand while keeping the phone pressed to his ear with the other. "Listen to me very carefully, Emma. You're being so brave right now. Can you tell me your address?" Through sniffles and stuttered words, Emma managed to give him an address in a neighborhood Marcus vaguely knew, not far from downtown, but definitely not in the wealthy district where he lived. As he spoke with the frightened child, he was already heading to the elevator, his driver's number already dialed on his second phone. "Emma, I need you to stay on the phone with me, okay? I'm calling for help and I'm coming to you too. Can you do that for me?" While keeping Emma talking, Marcus had his driver contact emergency services and give them the address. He learned that their mother, Sarah, was a single mom who worked 2 jobs to make ends meet. The girls had found her collapsed in their small apartment's kitchen. In their panic, Emma had grabbed her mother's phone and, not knowing how to dial 911, had pressed redial, which connected her to the last number her mother had called. As it turned out, Sarah had been calling various offices that day, desperately seeking a job interview. She had somehow reached Marcus's direct line earlier, a number that very few people had, and left a voicemail inquiring about any available positions, even cleaning or administrative work. Her message had been professional but tinged with quiet desperation, mentioning she was a single mother needing steady work. Marcus, overwhelmed with meetings that day, hadn't yet listened to his voicemails. Mr. "I don't know your name," Emma whispered into the phone as Marcus's car raced through empty city streets. "You can call me Marcus, sweetheart. And you're doing such a good job staying calm. Can you tell me about your mom?" Through their conversation, Marcus learned about Sarah Martinez, a 28-year-old mother who had been struggling since losing her job at a local retail store 3 months ago. The girls painted a picture of a mom who read them stories every night despite being exhausted, who made pancakes look like funny faces when they were sad, and who always tucked them in with promises that everything would be okay. "She tells us bedtime stories about a magic place where mommies never have to worry about money, and little girls always feel safe," Lily chimed in, having taken the phone from her sister. Her voice was even smaller than Emma's, and Marcus could hear her crying softly. When Marcus arrived at the apartment building, he could already hear sirens in the distance. The building was old and weathered, with flickering hallway lights and peeling paint on the walls. He took the stairs 2 at a time to the 3rd floor, still talking to the girls on the phone. "I'm outside your door now, Emma. Can you unlock it for me?" The door opened to reveal 2 little girls in matching pajamas, Emma with dark curls falling around her face, and Lily clutching a worn stuffed rabbit. Their eyes were red from crying, and they looked so small and vulnerable standing in the doorway of their tiny apartment. Marcus knelt down to their level immediately. "Hi, Emma. Hi, Lily. You both were so brave tonight." The girls led him to the kitchen where their mother lay unconscious on the linoleum floor. Marcus could see she had fallen and hit her head on the corner of a cabinet. He knelt beside Sarah, checking for a pulse while reassuring the girls. She was breathing steadily, which was a relief, but she needed immediate medical attention. When the paramedics arrived moments later, Marcus found himself naturally taking charge of the situation, but not in his usual corporate manner. Instead, he focused entirely on the two frightened children, kneeling on the floor with them, explaining what was happening as their mother was examined and prepared for transport to the hospital. "Is Mommy going to die?" Lily asked, clutching Marcus's expensive suit jacket with her small hands. Marcus looked into her wide, terrified eyes and made a promise he hoped with everything in him that he could keep. "The doctors are going to take very good care of your mommy. She's strong, just like both of you." The greatest challenge came when the paramedics explained that Sarah needed to be taken to the hospital immediately, and there was no immediate family available to care for the children. Child services would need to be contacted, which could take hours, and the girls would likely have to spend the night in emergency care. "I don't want to go with strangers," Emma said, wrapping her arms around Marcus's neck. "Please don't leave us." Marcus looked around the small apartment, taking in the evidence of their struggles. Past due notices on the kitchen counter, nearly empty cabinets, furniture that had seen better days. And then at these two brave little girls who had somehow reached him in their darkest moment. His logical, business-minded brain told him to wait for social services and return to his corporate world. But his heart, a part of himself he had forgotten existed, told him something entirely different. "What if I stay with you tonight?" he heard himself saying. "Would that make you feel safer?" The relief in their faces was immediate and profound. After speaking with the social worker who arrived on the scene and providing character references, Marcus was approved to care for the girls temporarily while their mother received medical treatment. As the paramedics wheeled Sarah out on a stretcher, she briefly regained consciousness. Her eyes, clouded with pain and medication, found Marcus holding her daughters. "Please," she whispered, "take care of them." "I promise," Marcus replied, meaning it more than any business deal he had ever agreed to. The night that followed challenged Marcus in ways his corporate training had never prepared him for. Emma had nightmares and climbed into his makeshift bed on their small couch, seeking comfort. Lily refused to eat anything until Marcus figured out how to make pancakes that looked like her mother's, lopsided and imperfect, but made with love. He found himself reading bedtime stories from worn picture books, his voice growing softer with each page. The next morning brought news from the hospital. Sarah had a severe concussion and several injuries, but she would recover fully with time and proper care. However, she would be unable to work for several weeks, maybe months. As Marcus sat in that small apartment, watching Emma help Lily brush her teeth and listening to them worry about whether they would have to move again because Mommy says we might not have enough money for rent, he made a decision that would change all their lives forever. When Sarah was released from the hospital 3 days later, Marcus was there waiting with her daughters, but he had more than just a reunion planned. He had spent those 3 days not just caring for Emma and Lily, but learning about their world, their struggles, their dreams, and their incredible resilience. "Sarah," he said gently as she hugged her daughters in the hospital room, "we need to talk." He offered her a job, not out of pity, but because during their conversations while she recovered, he discovered she had a degree in business administration and years of experience in customer service and problem solving. More importantly, he had witnessed her daughter's intelligence, kindness, and strength, qualities that spoke to the kind of person who had raised them. "I don't accept charity," Sarah said firmly, though her voice wavered with emotion. "This isn't charity," Marcus replied. "This is recognition. You've raised two of the most courageous, loving children I've ever met. That tells me everything I need to know about your character and capabilities." The position he offered was real, Director of Community Outreach for Sterling Industries, a role that would involve developing programs to help struggling families, something Sarah's personal experience made her uniquely qualified for. The salary was substantial, enough to provide stability and security for her and the girls. But Marcus's transformation didn't end with job placement. Over the following months, as Sarah excelled in her new role, and Emma and Lily flourished with the stability it provided, Marcus found himself becoming a part of their lives in ways he had never expected. He attended Emma's school play, taught Lily how to ride a bike, and joined them for Sunday dinners in their new apartment, still modest by his standards but filled with warmth and laughter. The man who had once lived solely for quarterly profits and market shares discovered the joy of building blanket forts, the satisfaction of helping with homework, and the profound peace that came from being needed, not for his money or influence, but simply for his presence and care. Sarah, initially wary of Marcus's intentions and overwhelmed by the dramatic change in their circumstances, gradually came to see him not as a wealthy benefactor, but as someone who genuinely cared about her and her daughter's well-being. Their relationship evolved slowly, built on mutual respect, shared experiences, and the foundation of that night when he had answered a little girl's desperate call for help. 6 months after that life-changing phone call, Marcus made another decision that surprised everyone, including himself. He restructured his company's priorities, launching a foundation dedicated to helping single parents find stable employment and housing. Sarah became the foundation's director, using her own experiences to help others facing similar challenges. "You know," Sarah told him one evening as they watched Emma and Lily playing in the park near their new home, "I used to tell the girls bedtime stories about a magic place where mommies never had to worry, and little girls always felt safe." Marcus smiled, watching the girls chase fireflies as the sun set behind them. "And now I tell them stories about how sometimes when you're brave enough to ask for help, angels answer the phone." The story of Marcus, Sarah, Emma, and Lily reminds us that sometimes the most important calls we answer aren't the ones we expect. That night, 2 little girls didn't just accidentally dial a wrong number. They reached exactly who they needed to reach at exactly the right moment. Marcus learned that true success isn't measured in profit margins or corporate achievements, but in the lives we touch and the love we share. Their story teaches us that heroism doesn't always come in grand gestures. Sometimes it comes in simply showing up when someone needs you most. It reminds us that behind every successful person should be a desire to lift others up, and that the most meaningful investments we can make are in each other. In the end, Emma and Lily's desperate phone call didn't just save their family, it saved Marcus too, showing him that the greatest fortune isn't what you accumulate, but what you give away. And sometimes, the most important business calls are the ones that have nothing to do with business at all. What did you think of this heartwarming story? Have you ever experienced an unexpected phone call that changed everything? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I love hearing about the moments that remind us of our shared humanity and the power of kindness. If you enjoyed this emotional journey, please give this video a thumbs up and share it with someone who might need a reminder that help can come from the most unexpected places. Don't forget to subscribe to Trillionaire in Love for more inspiring stories about love, kindness, and the moments that change our lives forever. Hit that notification bell so you never miss a story that might just touch your heart.